Blog Talk Radio.
Most of the time, you don't have to think about what to do. You just go ahead and do it.
From the Temple of Truth, the Willie Lawson Show, here on Blog Talk Radio.
Most of the time, you don't have to think about what to do. You just go ahead and do it.
From the Temple of Truth, the Willie Lawson Show, here on Blog Talk Radio.
Well, good afternoon. My name is Willie Lawson. This is the Willie Lawson Show here on Blog Talk Radio. We appreciate you being here today. It is a glorious day, and we've got lots and lots to talk about. We have a very special show today. Today we are talking to Ted Root of Gold Trust Financial Services. In these times, as we look at the economy for what it is, we have some pretty big challenges ahead, I think that some of the recent things that are going on are important, but distractions, because there is real financial troubles on the horizon, and especially if you are of retirement age, especially if you'd like to retire sometime before the end of the millennium. I think that there are some very specific challenges that you're going to have to find a way to overcome, because again, it's going to be very difficult because of the action and inaction of government. It's a lovely day, so we're going to. This is again a very important show, and what I want you to do is tell your friends. You tell your friends to come to the cast and listen, because you don't. This is one of those things that you will want to share. You will want to share. You want to say, hey, listen, I found some solutions, and they're on the Willie Lawson Show, and they'll go, oh, that guy. Yeah, I know. But let's go ahead and listen to them anyway. So we're going to get started right away. Again. We have on tap right now is a gentleman by the name of Ted Root. Ted Root is the current CEO at Gold Trust Financial in California, and he's been the CEO since 2012. He's been the managing director of Ted Root Enterprises again from 2000 to 2012. Business development, sales, and marketing director. From the Distressed Western International Securities International First Capital from 2000 to 2005, and much more. Graduate of Pepperdine University. You're a California kid. It's all good. But again, a lot to talk about, a lot of very serious topics. So again, tell your friends, tell your neighbors, share this cast with as many people as you can share it with, because it's going to be very important. So without further ado, we're going to click on the button here and welcome Ted Root to the Willie Lawson Show. Good morning, Ted. How are you doing?
Doing fantastic. Well, thank you for having me here, and I'm excited to be here.
Well, cool. Well, there's a lot going on right now. There's a lot of insurance. A lot of health insurance stuff going on. Congress is deciding to do this or that, and a lot of people are very concerned about their future. And like I said in the open, with all these other things going on, all the scandals and the like going on, I think people have taken their eye off the ball in a sense, because the economy they've sort of forgotten about. And things can get better. We're not ticking along at 3 or 4% growth anymore. That didn't happen. And I think that this conversation that we're going to have today is very important about the economy, about people's wealth and people's wealth preservation. I think is very important. In your opinion, tell our listeners what you think is the state of the global economy.
Sure. It's very timely. Very timely to talk about that right now. We're seeing what's happening here. Well, first, in our country, we're seeing a lot of the quantitative easing, which is the printing of money, to the tune of $85 billion a month. And we've seen, just to give you a little perspective, since when Reagan was in office, our national debt was $1 billion. Fast forward to when Obama took office in late 2009, our national debt was 10.3 billion or trillion, and now we just passed 17 trillion in debt. So, we're printing money. We're living on borrowed times. It's akin to if you have 5 credit cards and you're not able to make your household needs, you're taking out a 6th, 7th, and 8th credit card just to keep your lifestyle in order. Instead of really curtailing your lifestyle, the government is just not stopping the spending, and we're just continuing to live on borrowed money from not only China and Japan and all these other countries that we borrow from, but also we've actually gone into our own kitty, the Social Security Fund. We've borrowed trillions of dollars, and that's really the money that's supposed to be there for our retirements, and who knows if that's going to be there. But looking at a global, so that's just giving you a sort of an idea of what's happening here. And right now we're seeing in Europe is starting to do quantitative easing as well, because they're having issues with their own economy. So countries continue, when they're printing money, what's happening is they're basically debasing the currency. So they're basically diluting the value of their own individual currency. So when you have a certain number of dollars in circulation and you just print more and more, sure, that kind of solves the immediate issue. But what happens is it really diminishes the country's value. And Japan is doing that quantitative easing as well.
Well, yeah,
which is interesting.
Well, you know what, and again, and quantitative easing is one of those terms. Again, I have to put this stuff out to the eyedropper as opposed to a fire hose. That phrase, quantitative easing, I imagine a lot of people who hear it have no idea what it is. It's simply the printing of more money, and I don't think people understand the real damage that causes. Can you explain to our listeners in a go to the grocery store kind of way why the printing of more money is not necessarily the best idea for them?
Oh, absolutely. I had one of our clients actually called up, and we were talking about how metals can help protect his portfolio and whatnot. And he explained to me, he says, I'm not an economist or a rocket scientist, but $6 or $7 hamburger, I'm not making more money to keep up with these prices. And I notice it too when I go to the market and you get half a bag of groceries for $50, $60 or $100, and people's real wages have not kept up with that inflation. So when you're quantitative easing is a fancy term that the government came up with for printing more money. They said that the government has an invention. I think Ben Bernanke said this. It's called the printing press. And as they need more money, they just keep printing it, as opposed to cutting back on expenses and making government smaller and more efficient. So the government wants us to be more dependent on them to produce programs that don't work and so forth, and at the same time that's crippling our economy, this uncontrollable spending. So it's everything. It's housing, it's automobiles, it's just your basic daily expenses have just gone up tremendously in the last 7 to 10 years, and that's really a function of what's happening. So rather than being more productive as an economy, we're just printing more money to try to put a band-aid on basically a leg that's been severed, if that makes sense.
Well, yeah, it's more like a sucking chest wound.
Yeah, exactly.
That's really what we're dealing with. We talked a little bit about the price of things going up, and when I was I was young and I was younger and I was a kid, people would say that, you know, when prices go up, inflation would go up. Now, as we're looking at inflation numbers, a lot of people, especially a lot of people who support what the government's doing currently, will always point to this number and go, but look at the rate of inflation. The rate of inflation is not what you. I mean, it's not very high. Isn't there you know, especially with this administration and some administrations, you know, recently previous, aren't there some games being played with inflation numbers? Because I think it's important that people understand that number as well.
Sure, and that's something that that's been an issue for a long time. When you look at the numbers that the government puts out for inflation, they're not including the cost of food and fuel, which ultimately is, you know, something that should be in those inflationary numbers when they're actually, if they really want to show what inflation is. So rather than just, you know, have the public in a complete panic and really slow the economy even slower than it's been, they'll not include those numbers. They'll just keep printing money and propping up the stock market with cheap money that's benefiting all these big corporations. But none of that's really trickling down to us, to our personal economies. It's great if you're you know, IBM or Cisco or Apple, and you're able to borrow at these, you know, near zero interest rates and expand your companies and keep your money offshore. But how many average people has that benefited? And that's really what's going on here.
Well, and that's an important number, because we have been taught, or either by example or directly, that if the stock market is doing well, thus the economy is doing well. And right now we're at this weird dichotomy that you see record numbers in the stock market. However, people's personal economy isn't doing well. We've got more people out of the workforce as a percentage than we've ever had before in this country. I mean, we've got I think we've got more people on disability than we've ever had. We've got more people on food stamps than we've ever had, and that's increasing by 11,000 people a month. And of course, recently we've got more people not covered by health insurance than we've ever had before. That's just crazy. It's amazing. So as people are looking to the traditional ways of income or wealth generation or wealth preservation, the stock market's always been one. But can you tell me the game because there's a game that's being played with these stock market numbers and keeping these record gains artificially high. Tell us a little bit about what's going on in that game.
Sure. Well, the stock market, what moves the stock market has a lot to do with big institutions. It's not, when you're seeing these big moves in the stock markets, the people that are really gaining are either the top 1% of the people in this country or institutions that move the markets. They can manipulate the markets. There's a lot of electronic trading going on, stuff that the average person doesn't have access to. And so it's all fine and dandy when the stock market's going up, but when like you just mentioned, I mean, you've got record number of people that don't have any food in the refrigerator, that don't have health insurance, that jobs that used to be in this country, full-time jobs, have been replaced by part-time jobs at a lower rate. You've got people that have exhausted their unemployment, and now their only hope is to go on permanent disability. So you've got record numbers of people that are just suffering, and the division between the people, the haves and the have-nots in this country is just widening. The rich are getting richer right now, if you're in that top 1 to 5%. But the majority of this country is just suffering, and what's happening is the printing of cheap money, which we'll call it quantitative easing, but we might as well just call it as printing money, is allowing these big corporations to just expand and grow and borrow at near zero interest rates. But for the average person that goes to the bank and tries to get a loan right now, to make it so difficult, banks don't want to loan to the average person at these lower interest rates. They'll wait till interest rates go higher, and then they'll open their coffers. But for now, the average person is just left to fend for themselves. And if you're looking for government to bail you out of this thing, good luck, because this kind of situation can't continue forever, because you can't keep raising taxes forever, and you can't have an economy that's not productive and producing things. We don't produce as much as we used to anymore, and we just, we're not efficient. Government is too big. 1 out of every 10 people works for the government. And so they need to slash government in half, slash spending and make the economy, take away the quantitative easing and let the economy go into recession, which is where it should be, and so we can have a real recovery. But everyone keeps, drinking from this punch bowl, and it's, it's a dangerous situation that if they do stop this quantitative easing, there's going to be a big hangover here. And, the average person is feeling it, but the country could feel it on a larger level when we stop, all these Band-Aids on these, terminally ill patients, if you will. So that's basically what's happening here.
Well, yeah. Well, today we have Ted Root from the CEO of Gold Trust Financial on the Willie Lawson Show, and we're talking about the current condition of the economy. We're going to talk about wealth preservation and wealth generation and wealth preservation here as we move forward. But we have to sort of set the table, because a lot of people, Ted, are looking at how it used to work. We go through recession, and the word recession, average person, that's not that scary of a word, because most people understand that recessions are cyclical, and then we come out of a recession, and the jobs would come back, and of course the stock market would come back, and everything will be fine. You mentioned these Band-Aids that are being put on, quantitative easing, the printing of money as a Band-Aid, the continuous spending as a Band-Aid, as sort of as anesthesia to stop the pain of it. But the core disease is raging, really, and
right.
And at some point will kill the patient.
No question.
And then it won't be. And I know these seem like scare words. It won't be recession. It'll be depression, and it'll be very, very difficult for for people, even more so than it is now. I live in Florida, Ted. I live in beautiful, sunny Florida. And, it's not really so sunny today, but I live in beautiful, sunny Florida. And we have a number of retired folks here. And what they are most concerned with, they are concerned with their retirement income. Either they're about to retire or they've already retired. As they look at the economic picture that we have just painted in the first few minutes of the show, they are worried. They are afraid because they don't see any help, obviously, coming from government. They don't see any restraints coming from government. They see just like you and I see. They see government growing by leaps and bounds, and they've seen, especially in the last crash, they've seen their retirement portfolios get smaller and smaller. And with the addition of the unkept or unwritten inflation, their buying power getting smaller and smaller. There's been a lot of talk, because a lot of the big shows that do this kind of thing, like Glenn and Mark and all those guys, they all talk about one thing. They all talk about precious metals. They all talk about precious metals. And I'll tell you what, I'll be honest with you, Ted. When I first started hearing about precious metals, I thought, how is having a bunch of minerals laid up in my house, in my bedroom, going to protect, because that was the picture I had in my head, how is that going to protect me from inflation? How is that going to be wealth generation? So,
Okay.
and we're going to talk about some specifics as we move on. But in general, tell our listeners how precious metals protect them against inflation in particular.
Sure. Well, you have to, let me give a little background of how it used to be in this country. You know, the founding fathers of the country said that if we're going to create a currency in this country, it should always be backed by gold and silver, because they saw what happened in England when they've had these issues going way, way back. And so originally, our currency was gold and silver in this country. When you bought something, you bought it with a gold piece or silver. And when we eventually went to paper money, the paper money was backed by gold and silver. They would put a certain portion of gold and silver in a vault in Fort Knox, and that was the value of our currency. In other words, we weren't allowed to just keep printing money out of control without anything backing it. When we went off the gold standard in 1933, we were no longer backing our money with gold, so that gave us the ability to just keep printing money, and that's how we got in this mess, because we're no longer backing our money up with gold. So gold has always been, gold and silver and other precious metals have always been a storehouse of wealth. I mean, going back to the Roman time and biblical times. So gold has always maintained its value. In fact, a $20 gold piece that was used in the 1800s here in the U.S., we used to be able to buy a suit. If you take a coin now and a $20 gold piece that's worth about $1,500, I think you can buy a pretty nice suit still. So over 100 years and plus, the value of gold and silver have maintained their value as a purchasing power. Whereas if you go back since 1950, the dollar has lost 97% of its buying power. So, if you just held on to dollars and didn't buy gold over the years, the paper money has just continued to lose its value. So the whole value in owning gold and silver as a percentage of your wealth is historically been very, very accurate. And gold is a global currency. So if the U.S. currency continues to go down the tube, and eventually when this party's over and people stop drinking from this punch bowl, and a hangover sets in, if you own gold, you can convert that to any currency in the world. It's portable. It has a value that's internationally recognized, and has maintained its value. So that's really the value that gold and silver maintain.
Now you mentioned, sure. Now you mentioned back in the early 30s when the United States got off the gold standard and decided that they would go purely on paper money, and the idea was that the money was backed with with the faith of. I love that. Back with
faith and credit.
Full faith and rotten credit of the U.S. government.
Right.
They actually ran around confiscating gold. People weren't able to hold on to it. Why do you think that was?
Well, when you own gold, you're taking basically control of your money. The government's not in control of the money when you own gold. So the government didn't want people to own gold because they were trying to protect the currency in a sense. But ultimately, we found, sadly, that didn't work. And so being on a gold standard was something that was actually very good for this country. And right now the dollar is the reserve, what they call the reserve currency of the world. And if you're Brazil and you're buying oil from Saudi Arabia, you transact that in U.S. dollars. And so we have a little bit of a pass in this country. We can print money out of control, and we don't get penalized like other countries do when they print their money out of control. and see just see the currency go to zero. There's a lot of people out there, including recently the head of the World Bank, President of France, and other top economists and financial people that are calling for the dollar to be removed as the world's reserve currency. And just that may take some time for that to happen, but if it does, and when it does, or just the thought of it even happening, is very dangerous. And the reason why they're calling for the dollar to be removed as a world's reserve currency is because of our financial indiscretions, because we haven't been fiscally responsible. If you're a kid at home and you're given 2 credit cards and you max those credit cards out, your parents are going to cut your credit cards out. So eventually, we're going to be held responsible. Our feet are going to be held to the fire for all the way we run our economy and the way we spend money and how we manage our debt. In fact, the U.S. debt was downgraded, and that makes it more expensive for the U.S. to borrow money now. We were downgraded from AAA to AA minus by S&P, one of the big Standard & Poor's, one of the big rating agencies, and we're actually on watch to be potentially downgraded again by Fitch, the other big rating agency. So those are some of the very important issues that we're facing right now. And so owning gold makes sense to have as part of your portfolio. It's up over 450%. Even with the recent consolidation in the price, looking back over the last 12 years, we're up over 450% in gold. If you were in the S&P 500 as an investment, you'd be up maybe 2%. They called it the lost decade. So, recently the stock market has been on a bit of a tear, and again, that's due to the cheap money that's being injected by the government to artificially prop up the value of the stock market, even though the corporate earnings aren't there, and the price multiples that these companies are being valued for on the stock market are not within historical norms of where they should be. They're much higher. Therefore, the companies are really overvalued, and I think we will probably see a correction in the stock market that's potentially much greater than the correction we saw in 2008 when people lost between 20 to 40 or 50% of their retirement savings, and supposed blue chip stocks went to zero. Many of them never really regained any of their value. So while the stock market is a good place to be, you don't want to have all your eggs in one basket. And the people that we speak to and that invest with gold and silver through us inside the retirement account, where they can hold gold and silver, or as a cash purchase, people sleep a little better knowing they have something that that's not being run by Wall Street. It's not affected by the government. There's no counterparty risk, meaning that when you own the gold, it has its own intrinsic value. And so it's not the banks, it's not Wall Street, and it's not the government. You're in control of the asset. And they did the gold at one point in the 30s, and it wasn't until 72, and when Nixon repealed that people were allowed to own gold again. So it's definitely something that's very mainstream. It's not conspiracy thinkers or someone living under a bridge with a month full of food and a shotgun. It's your average person, and it's we have heads of companies and very average people that just want to be protected. We cater to the full spectrum of people that just really see the writing on the wall.
Well, again, we have Ted Root with us, the CEO of Gold Trust Financial, and we're happy he's here, and we're talking about wealth and wealth preservation. And we've set the picture up of what we have to look forward to in this country, especially if we continue with quantitative easing, especially if things like the using the dollar as a reserve currency, the threat of that not happening anymore. There have been countries calling for the dollar not to be the reserve currency. All those things will affect the health of our own economy and again the health of our personal economies. What factors affect the price of gold? Because we've heard a lot about the price of gold in the last little bit. What wealth as someone's looking at gold as an investment or as wealth preservation, hedge against inflation, all those things. What controls the prices? Because that's one of those things when people are investigating this that they think about.
Sure. A lot of it has to do with perception. If people feel that the economy is stronger, they sometimes feel I need to own less gold and silver. Financial advisors for years have always recommended, no matter, because you can't predict what's going to happen, with 12 to 24, 36 months, things can change. So gold is always viewed as an insurance policy in your portfolio. So owning 10, 20% or more, depending on your situation and how concerned you are, always has been something that's been recommended. So right now, with the stock market on a tear, people think, well, I need less gold, so let me just invest in a stock market and just stay there. Well, we know what happened in 2008 when stock market was overvalued and back in 1999 as well. There can be massive corrections. And when you have cheap money being fueled in there, there's a lot of manipulation that goes on in terms of how the price of gold is affected. So, the people that are running the stock market want you to keep investing in the stock market. That's something you can manipulate, and that's a big boy's game. When you own gold and silver, you're in control of that investment. That's not something they want you to do. So they've been artificially depressing the price of gold right now, which for the first time in 12 years has created a great consolidation in the price and created a amazing buying opportunity for people right now. We haven't seen a correction of 20% in the price of gold in 12 years. And the reason is because, things have gotten so bad. And in fact, what's interesting is things have gotten worse, but the price of gold is down 20%. So smart people are saying, well, yeah, that makes sense. I better buy now because, I may get this discount again on the price. And the backdrop to everything has been worse. If you look at what the Congressional Budget Office has said, they're the folks that forecast what's going to happen in this country. They do the calculations. They've already calculated by the year 2016, we're going to be over $20 trillion in debt. So basically, if you want to kind of distill it or just understand everything on a real basic level, we're about a $4 trillion economy, but we're bringing in about only $2.9 trillion in revenue each year. I mean, you couldn't, if you're a $4,000 a month household and you're only bringing in, $2,900 a month, just to kind of give you an analogy, well, that means you'd have to get a smaller house, someone's got to get a second job, got to get rid of the second car, bring in a roommate, whatever. But what's happening with the way the government does it is they just keep borrowing money. You could keep borrowing money as an individual to sustain your lifestyle. You'd have to change your habits and your lifestyle. We're like a drunken sailor just as a nation, just continuing to spend. So that's really the backdrop of everything right there.
Well, that's a very good explanation. And again, we have Ted Root, the CEO of Gold Trust Financial, on with us this afternoon, talking about wealth preservation and hedges against inflation. Now, your company, we're getting specifics. Let's find out what you do, because I think that's important. Your company actually allows people to purchase gold in particular and precious metals. And a lot of people are interested, and I am. How does that process work? It isn't like you walk up to somebody in a grocery store and go out to the back of their car and they've got some gold bullion in their trunk. How's the process work? How do people decide? I want to investigate. Okay, I've done all the reading. We heard Ted Root on the Willie Lawson Show, and I'm convinced. now I think I should, investigate buying gold. How does the process work?
It's really simple. Once we speak with a potential client, someone who's doing their research, depending on their goals and objectives, we'll help them together decide what might be the best asset to accomplish their goals and what they're looking to protect. And essentially, once we receive the funds from the clients, we ship out the metals directly to the client via insured FedEx mail right to their front door. We sign for it. It comes in a nondescript package. Only we and the client know what's in there. And that's really it. There's two ways you can acquire precious metals, being gold and silver. One is as a cash purchase, meaning we receive the funds and then we ship out the metals. The other way that it's a big part of our business, and it's where people keep the majority of their wealth, is in their retirement accounts. If someone has a IRA or an old 401k from a company they worked for, and they've accumulated a certain amount of wealth over the years that they want to preserve. When we saw, again, back in 2008, people losing 25 to 40% of their investments virtually overnight in the stock market crash, never to regain those returns, that affected people's ability to retire, maintain any kind of lifestyle or hopes for a happy retirement. So with that as a backdrop, a lot of people are saying, well, how can I protect my IRA or my old 401k so that doesn't happen to me or it doesn't happen again? And there's a way you can, and we help facilitate this, where you can create what's called a gold or silver-backed IRA, and you can add both gold and or silver to a retirement account. The physical metals are actually held for you in the retirement account, and upon being of age where you can take distributions, you can actually take distributions of the physical metal itself, and that will be delivered to you. So there's those two ways to acquire precious metals, and it's really simple, and we've helped countless people across the country, and people sleep a little bit at night knowing that they have a portion of their portfolio that they're in control of, that has a proven track record. And gold has always historically been money, not what they call fiat currency. So the printing of money, that's known as what they call fiat currency, and gold is real money, and that's why a storehouse of wealth, and it's been a great thing that we've been able to offer people.
It's interesting because you said that of course the paper money that all of us don't carry in our wallet anymore, that we carry debit cards anymore. But that is, again, that's just a promise that the government will give you more of the same of those things, which is isn't that kind of an interesting system? We're talking about that the paper dollars don't have the value that they cost to really produce anymore. And what the government says is, if you give us one of these, we'll make sure you'll get the very same in your account. Great. That's kind of a crazy thing. But in any case, as people are getting this goal. And is it better that people get it in coins? When you send it, do you send it in coins? How do you send it to them? Or you send it in bars, or how do they actually receive it? So when they open the FedEx package like Christmas time, what should they expect to see?
Sure. It's generally in the form of coins. Bars are available as well. I would say probably 9 out of 10 clients prefer the coins, because coins are actually made by the mint, but the minting agency, the U.S. Mint, as opposed to bars are made by private corporations, and the coins are always instantly recognizable, and so that's more of a benefit to have the coins. But we offer both, and some people get a combination. Some people prefer just the coins. But many of the coins come with a certificate of authenticity from the mint, depending on the coin. Other coins actually come with a barcode and a barcode number, which actually guarantees its authenticity and purity of the coin. So the coin will go through a independent coin grading service, and they'll verify the coin. They'll put the coin in a hardened, clear plastic container that's hermetically and sonically sealed. You can't hurt the coin. You could drop it and throw it against the wall. You can't hurt it. It's protected in this cover, and it'll have a barcode and a barcode number. So that's another way that people feel another level of security and comfort knowing that they're getting something that's authentic and pure.
We have Ted Root, the CEO of Gold Trust Financial, on with us today. We're talking about purchasing gold and silver as a hedge against inflation, as wealth preservation, and sort of a hedge against another financial nightmare that we saw back in 2008. You know what? It isn't just individuals. If I can make a switch for a second. Aren't there central banks around the world now buying and selling gold?
Central banks are buying more gold and silver, you're right, than they have in the last 40 years. And you have to stop and think about it. Well, why are they buying it? What do they know that we don't know? They're buying it because they know countries like Russia and China and other central banks around the world, including our central bank here, are buying gold because they know that the paper currencies are in trouble. So they're buying it. It's essentially the governments are buying it in record amounts by the tons, but yet they're not telling the average person to buy it, because at the end of the day, the government would rather you be dependent on what they're going to do for you rather than what you can do for yourself. So that's a very important thing to realize. I mean, they're buying it like it's going out of style, and at the same time, they don't want you to buy it. They'd rather you invest in the stock market, something that's ultimately manipulated and that's controlled by large institutions and the top 1% in this country. So people have gotten wise to that. We've seen record sales of physical gold being purchased by people across the country that no longer have faith that the government's going to be there for them and as a safety net in any way, as things continue to get worse. So that's a great point you bring up. Central banks that's a key indicator as to the state of the global economy.
It's interesting that as we keep continuing to talk about this kind of stuff, that every financial scenario leads to that the current system that we have now is simply not sustainable. There isn't any way. Margaret Thatcher said it best. The problem with socialism is that eventually you run out of other people's money. It's simply not sustainable. Worst case scenario, because the next I want to ask you some questions specifically about Gold Trust Financial. Worst case scenario, how is the person living in one house in a neighborhood who has decided to have gold as part of their portfolio? Worst case scenario, how are they better off than the people across the street that have decided to participate in the traditional ways of wealth preservation, stock market, 401k, money market, all those things? How is the person living on one side of the street who has precious metals, how are they going to be better off than the people across the street?
Sure. That's a great question. As the government continues to print more money, and it's being printed at a record pace, the value of dollar-denominated assets, such as anything in the stock market is valued in dollars, any mutual funds and so forth, that's all dollar-denominated assets. And anytime you have a lot of something, the value continues to diminish. The more dollars you print, the more dollars are worth less. Now, if you have a business and you're making money, you're not printing money, you're creating value. That's really what we should be doing. We should be creating more jobs, expanding industries that we have a competitive advantage in, and so forth, getting more people off welfare, getting more people off disability, squeezing the size of government, that's really the hard work that we're not doing in this country. And what we've chosen to do as a nation is to take the easy route and just print more money. So to answer your question, the person across the street from you that's solely invested in the stock market and not taking a portion of their savings and putting it in precious metals, they're gonna suffer, and it's going to be a pretty hard pill to swallow this time around, because the prediction is the next recession we have. You mentioned a system that's not working, and that's true, but I would even go farther to say that we have a system that's broken, and this is not anything that's going to be repairable in the near future.
Well, that makes perfect sense. Again, we have Ted Root, the CEO of Gold Trust Financial. Go ahead, Ted.
I was going to say, and when the market goes down 40%, like we're predicting, and we're 40% like last time, that's money that's lost and you'll never regain. When you own the gold, that money you have, and that's real money. That's real value. It's not something that can be printed out of existence. So, we never profess that someone should be entirely in gold and silver. It's part of a well-balanced portfolio, and especially at these consolidated prices, it makes sense, and in light of everything else that's going on in terms of the continued spending and the accelerated global financial economy, it's in a terrible state right now. It's not just what happens here in the U.S., but all these countries around the world have printed their money out of control, and so you have a global financial crisis that at some point there's going to be a reckoning, and the countries, including ours, will have to just do the hard work to repair things. But people that own gold and silver through those hard times are going to be the ones that are going to be able to benefit, because the gold and silver is predicted to skyrocket in value because of all this. If that makes sense.
That makes perfect sense. Thank you. We appreciate it. Again, we have Ted Root, the CEO of Gold Trust Financial, on with us today. And as we're getting to the witching hour, there are so many companies, Ted, that are doing this. Again, everybody's, when all the big guys, and I appreciate you coming on with me this afternoon, all the big guys have some company that they're backing. And you know what? And when people have this sort of choice, it would be irresponsible of me not to ask this question. Why would anybody choose Gold Trust Financial maybe over some of the other companies that I'm sure they hear advertised in other places? What makes Gold Trust Financial the place to secure your future?
Well, there's several reasons. One is we don't use high-paid celebrity spokespeople to promote and sort of be on a stump for us.
No, they use me. Obviously not. You're here.
True, but we don't spend millions of dollars on TV. Like TV advertising. When companies that spend that sort of money in the media, those costs of advertising have to be absorbed by somebody, and they're generally absorbed by the people purchasing from them. So we don't use these large, massive advertising campaigns. We do more ground root efforts like speaking with you and doing other efforts like that, webinars and so forth, to really get the message out. And so we're able to keep our prices extremely competitive. We don't charge any liquidation fees when people are ready to sell back to us. Most shipments we offer free shipping on most orders, on most qualified orders. We are very efficient and very knowledgeable, and we have a very strong, dedicated staff that's going to help facilitate whatever the needs are of the clients. So most of my business is actually repeat business. So for that reason, I think that's a pretty strong indication of how we're doing. And by the way, our website is goldtrustfinancial.com, and I'd like to give you our 800 number too, if I could, Willie, so for anybody that has information who'd like to receive a free investor kit.
Right ahead.
Sure. Our toll-free number is 800-837-4653. Another way to remember it is 800-837-GOLD. That spells out gold, and it's goldtrustfinancial.com again. So we offer a free investor kit. We also have a very timely processing time. So from the time we receive the funds from the clients, we have the order in your hand within 3 to 4 business days. So we, pride ourselves on processing orders very quickly, having great prices, excellent customer service, and we have an A+ rating with the Better Business Bureau, which we're very proud of, and a lot of repeat business, which is a feather in our cap and something we are very proud of.
Well, you know what, and as we've had this conversation, it would seem to me that if you are really interested in wealth preservation and hedges against inflation, that this is something that you want to think about having a part of your portfolio for sure. But I think a lot of people still don't know what kind of people actually do this. Give us a thumbnail sketch of the type of people that are your clients. I'm guessing, and that's pretty much guessing, it isn't just the rich and famous. I'm guessing that it's a wide spectrum of society.
It used to be, the only people that thought about gold were people that were very wealthy. We cater to a wide spectrum of people. We cater from someone who has a large portfolio and wants to protect a good portion of their wealth. We also cater to someone who's looking to do a smaller purchase and grow with us, and we help them grow their portfolio. If someone has a retirement account with $10,000 in it, and some people have a retirement account with $2 million in it. So regardless of the size of retirement account that they're looking to protect with gold, we handle the whole spectrum, and we treat everyone the same regardless of what their position is, and we just want to help people grow their portfolio and get protected by owning gold and silver and as part of their overall holdings. As far as people looking to do a cash purchase, we have people that buy $3,000 to $5,000 at a time, if that's what the level they want to start off with, and other people that to do $25,000, $100,000 or more. So it really depends on where you are. But at the end of the day, whoever you are or wherever you are, whatever you have, it's yours. You've worked hard for it. You want to preserve it, and it doesn't really matter to us what level that is. We just want to be of service and help you get protected, because whether you have $10,000 or you have $10 million, it's equally important.
Well, no doubt. Again, we have Ted Root, the CEO of Gold Trust Financial, and you can reach them at goldfinancial.com. Their 1-800 number is 1-800-837-4653. That's 1-800-837-4653 or 1-800-837-GOLD. How'd you guys get that? That must have cost you a bunch. Wow.
We just got lucky actually on that one.
Yeah. Oh, super. That's awesome. Listen, Ted, as we finish up today, this is a time that you get to sort of look into the eyes of the radio or the computer or whatever people are listening on their smartphone, and because we have people listening with everything that you can imagine. It's crazy. iPods, on iTunes, everywhere in the social media world, and tell them how important it is. I mean, one more round here. How important it is that they diversify their portfolio and make sure that precious metals are a part of it as a hedge against the disaster that everybody knows is coming.
Sure. And I'd like to just quote one of our founding fathers, John Adams, said, "There's two ways to conquer and enslave a nation, one by sword, the other by debt." And those are pretty prophetic words when you think about it. Our nation is really at a very dangerous crossroads, and we're at basically the tip of a hill, and with no brakes, and we're sitting in a Mack truck, if you want to use that analogy. And it's up to us as individuals to take control of our individual economies and our future. The government hasn't gotten anything right. They've just continued to put us deeper and deeper in debt. They've borrowed money from the Social Security Fund to the tune of over $5 trillion to try to prop up the economy rather than take the hard steps like we would as individuals to make our own individual lives work. So at the end of the day, you have to ask yourself, if I'm going to hold money, physical gold in my hand, or am I going to hold dollars in my hand for the next 5 years, which one do I have more faith in? And in light of all the money being printed, the global financial meltdown, I think the answer has to be gold, and also silver, which is up over 600% in the last 10 years as well. So both have done extremely well and continue to be a safe haven in this financial disaster that we're facing. So get protected. Get a portion of your retirement account if you have one in gold. We can help you do that. And if you don't have a retirement account, then take it physically. We can actually deliver the physical gold or silver right to your front door, and it's very liquid. You could sell it back to us whenever you need to. In the meantime, you're getting a great price, and it's a great opportunity to take control of your own finances. So call us at 1-800-837-4653 and receive a free investor kit that will give you all the information that you need to know to make the right decision for yourself. And we can also give you information on protecting your retirement accounts. And also feel free to visit our website at www.goldtrustfinancial.com, and we have a lot of information on there as well. And I'm really happy that I was here today, and I want to thank you, Willie, for your time. And I think it's going to be very helpful for a lot of people, and we're here for you, and we wish everyone the best.
Well, thank you so much, Ted, for being here. I really do. And again, that's Gold Trust Financial. You can reach them at goldfinancialtrust.com, and their number is 1-800-837-4653. Well, Ted, thank you ever so much for coming and letting our listeners know how important it is to have precious metals, gold and silver, in their portfolio and maybe just in their hand as some protection against the disasters that's coming. We appreciate you being here, and I hope that you would come back as things move forward, and we could have other conversations.
That would be fantastic. I look forward to it.
Well, thank you ever so much. We appreciate you, and we hope to talk to you again very soon.
Thank you. Have a great day.
My pleasure. All right, listen, we're going to get out of here. Thanks so much for coming to the Willie Lawson Show today. You know what? It was great talking with Ted. Because a lot of people, I'm telling you, a lot of people who listen to this show are concerned. What do we do next? What do we do next? How do we protect ourselves? How do we protect ourselves for you used to be just for our grandkids, but now it's our own children and even ourselves. And you've heard about gold, and we were able to get a hold of some great folks at Gold Trust Financial and give you some of that information. Again, do me a favor. Make sure that you get a hold of them. Go to the Gold Trust Financial website, goldtrustfinancial.com, or call for the free investor kit at 1-800-837-4653. That's 1-800-837-GOLD. And explore it. Don't count yourself out. Explore the possibilities. All right, we got to get out of here. Thank you so much again for coming to the Willie Lawson Show here on Blog Talk Radio. Just like always, go out there and learn something, love somebody, and for goodness sakes, and we mean this from the very bottom of our heart, take care of yourself. We'll see you when we see you.